ever, ever. How fitting then it is that it's a good friend, a mensch, a musician extraordinaire, a man who is so synonymous with the guitar, he rhymes with it. He's been weaving pop music classics and guitar magic for nearly 40 years, influencing everyone from New Order to the Killers and, well, playing with everyone from bits of New Order and the Killers to Modest Mouse to the Cribs to McCartney. Just Google it. Here to talk about his latest release, which is our liked and shared and our final one. It's Johnny Marr.
Shaun.
How are you feeling about that introduction?
Wow. Well, yeah, could have been a bit longer. A few things you didn't mention. Lovely to speak to you. How are you doing this week?
I'm all right, pal. I'm all right. It's a bit like. I always reference this, and I don't know how many people ever saw it, but there was an episode of the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn in the 70s, where I think Huck. Everybody thought he died, and there was a funeral, and he went to his own funeral, and he was sort of making detailed notes about the people who were crying and the people who looked happy. So it feels a bit like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. Not at all mawkish.
Not at all. We wouldn't have mawkishness on this set. I mean, we share that in the sense that you've walked away from big and much loved thing. I'm not saying we're that much loved as the Smiths, but you've done that. You've sort of in your prime, in your pomp, you've turned your back and you've walked away from a thing, haven't you? How did it make you feel when it first happened?
Well, God, straight in there with the big stuff, Shaun. But I like to think maybe look at it as walking towards something, my friend. Oh. New chapters, new horizons. Very, very good for you, I think. Good for one. Life is tricky, throws curveballs and all of that. But I personally, I'm very into change. Yeah. I like change. When I shuffle off this mortal coil, I really would. I'm glad that I haven't stuck to the one thing, either professionally or personally. I just like and get inspired by new challenges and new situations, and just don't want to be knowing what I'm going to be doing in a few years. I think for me, that's just the way I am, always have been. So that's why I look at all these things, Shaun, and it's worked out okay for me. I'm very, very happy about it.
It really, I asked that in a sort of indulgent way about myself, but I knew that you'd give the perfect answer because I think everybody needs to hear that on a relatively regular basis. So thank you for saying that. Spirit, power and soul. It's one of the catchiest things you've ever done. Congratulations on the single. Here's another daft question. Do you remember where you were when that hook came to you? Do you remember when certain big hooks come to you?
I do. I remember when that hook came to me because when I was writing the record, I started writing this whole album just before the pandemic. Because it was time for me to make a new record anyway. Call the Comet was a few years ago, and anyway, so obviously I've been writing during this weirdness, and I'd been in London for a while. I'd written the backing track, and with songs sometimes, it's either craft or inspiration, And I'd been on a few runs around Hyde Park, and I thought I'd nailed it, and I'd come back from this run a couple of days. This happened, and I had this whole set of lyrics, and I had a tune and the hook, and I was really elated, and then I lived with it for a few hours, and nope, wasn't right. So came in the studio on my own and really kind of crafted it, and then to answer your question, 3:30 in the morning, I wake up and I just sang it into my phone, and completely different, nothing to do with what I'd already written, and then I was really. Full disclosure, I was really then very, very excited, and for the rest of the night, because I just thought it was a great title, and I was very excited about it. It was exactly what I'd sort of envisaged. With music, you get if you write the music first, you get a sense of an inkling of what you want to say, whether it's in line with the feeling of the track or in opposition to it, and all of this. And I'd done a few things, and I just knew when this came out that it was right. So it sort of reminded me a bit. I kind of went, well, has there not already been like a Curtis Mayfield anthology album called Spirit, Power and Soul, and
Yeah.
you know, it just seemed to be a song waiting to be written. So I was very pleased about it. So yeah, it was 3:30 in the morning, which is
God.
often, you know, when I come up with things.
It's funny, isn't it? That's your scrambled eggs Paul McCartney moment in a sense, isn't it? Or
It is.
Keith waking up and just putting down the Satisfaction riff and then falling back to sleep.
I find particularly with words and titles and with lyrics I'm working on, it gives it's that quiet time, the subconscious. It's happened a few times now, but you know, I was very happy about it. And then it's just a matter then of getting all the boys together and making it into a record, you know.
Well, I mean, you say you did that backing track first, and it's sort of other people have said, you know, what they think it reminds them of. But there are things in your legacy, so you know, like electronic and inflections of New Order and Giorgio Moroder. It's like a propulsive electro throb, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got all of those elements in it. I fancied when we were on tour promoting the last record on Call the Comet. I sort of we put a single out called Armatopia, which was a standalone single, and that went down really well live. And I sort of enjoyed the process of writing a synth track. And I thought, right, well, you know, because of Armatopia, I thought, I'll really complete the job on the next album. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I really had the sort of, you know, the hots for a kind of Kraftwerky, Giorgio Moroder kind of banger. It's easier said than done, but that was my intention. I did fancy coming back, if you like, with a sort of an electro single.
And it's
that was the idea. Yeah,
it's not surprising because, like you say, you've sort of touched on it before many times, but it's a lovely sort of. Another thing I want to ask you is like, because I interviewed Barney years ago, right, Bernard, and he is a proper manuals guy, isn't it? And this is the kind of thing that blows my mind, right? Because you know me a tiny bit. I'm not the kind of person who can read to the end of an email. Never mind a 300-page booklet about how to use an 808. But he's sort of learned how to use all this technology and used it to its best ability. Didn't he? Are you a bit like that? Do you like to get into the nuts and bolts of it, or do you have people that you explain the sound to and collaborate on it?
Well, first off, anything that has happened I'm into technology. Anything that's happened over the time that I've been making records, whether it's guitar technology or recording technology, computers, amps, pedals, any of that stuff, I'm all over that because of my enthusiasm for making records. And when I started out, I just wanted to know all the mechanics, all the craft of making records. So to me, it goes hand in hand with that. Anything about making records, I'm all over that, really. So I always have been. So all the way through the 90s, working with Bernard and Pet Shop Boys and Hans Zimmer now and all of that, I get very involved in it. But also, I'm very, very fortunate to have a guy who is in my band with me, who co-produces, Doviak, a very fine musician. And with me doing a lot of the vocal duties now, he's frankly a Jedi on Pro Tools and with equipment. He's a real kind of mad scientist, and he's got it up to the next level. So I do know all of that, but we've got a good, I've worked with him a long time now. We've got a very good partnership.
Yeah.
But so we both programmed Spirit, Power and Soul. We both programmed it together. I'm enthusiastic about it, and I like getting into all the minutiae of recording. So I'm into it. Yeah.
I just love, And have you got? I mean, well, I'll ask you off air about new guitar gadgets because I realise that I'm punishing some of my listeners if I start talking to you about pedals. They'll be like, "When are you going? Can you not go a couple of days sooner?" I just played a little inflection of Daniel Craig before, and I've got to mention Eilish. I've got to mention the Bond theme. I've got to mention you working with Hans on that. What that experience has been like for you? How much of your working year now is working on film music?
Well, it came as a bit of a surprise. So I was sort of starting writing this new album, which I decided was a double. So I felt like, okay, that's a task, and then Hans gave me a call, so I had to kind of drop the initial writing of my record to do Bond because it's what you do, really. It's a funny question because the truth of it is he called me up late on a Saturday night and he said, "Oh, okay, I've got two questions. One is, I've been asked to do Bond. Do you think I should do it?" And then the second question was, and then secondly, if I do it, will you come and play the guitar in it? So when he asked the first question, as a friend, his friend, I said, well, yeah, I think you should do it, obviously. I know he's busy, but when he asked me about the guitar question, obviously old friendship went completely out the window. So it was just about, yeah, of course I'm going to play the guitar on it. And that experience was good. It was intense. I mean, I've done, as you say, I've done quite a few movies now, mostly with hands, nearly always with hands, I think. And it's a mixture of a lot of waiting about and then intensive fixing and making, and to a deadline.
Yeah.
That usually starts at 7 p.m. and finishes at 5 a.m. So it's all a bit upside down, and you're kind of you're on call, really.
Yeah.
But I like that. The memory of actually being in Air Studios playing the theme to the Bond movie with the orchestra, I won't lie, that was a bit of a career highlight for me.
Just that power of that the orchestration is something that can't be replicated anywhere else, I don't think.
Well, also, it's a funny thing because anyone who's taken up the guitar at any time over the last 50 years will probably remember that the Bond theme is one of the first things that you learn because it's so simple.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, when that orchestra kicked in, my brain was definitely going into overdrive. Because it's so simple, it's so easy to mess up. And I was thinking, not now, Johnny.
Yeah, exactly. You're not playing many notes.
Now
so they have to be.
Now's not the time.
That's so amazing. That whole Dick Dale thing that's going, or whatever, that sort of twanginess to the original, and I don't know. It's just so iconic, isn't it? Like you say, you can't get one move wrong.
It was a moment. It's very easy to overthink that stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like the cheddar cheese song or something. It's like that. It's that iconic that it's terrifying. Is there anybody
Sean,
that you?
Sean, can I just stop you there?
Yeah.
Can I just stop you there? The Bond theme is not like the cheddar cheese song, my friend.
No, you're right. You're right. That's a stupid comparison.
You got to rein that one in.
The James Bond theme wouldn't.
Don't say that on the red carpet.
What is he on about, this cheese? Are you collabing with anybody at the moment or upcoming that we should know about?
No, because I'm just wrapping up the release of the record. I say that wrapping up because it's a couple of videos being done and the sort of technicalities of getting the record out and the release of the album. So, but on the album, I've had Meredith Sheldon, who's a singer who I really, really love. She's singing on most of the record with me. She's doing backing vocals. She was in a band called Family of the Year. She's been out on tour with me over the years a few times. And we've got Simone Marie from Primal Scream playing bass on a few songs.
Oh, she's superb. What a great musician that woman is.
Yeah, and that's all like family, really. I've been, Scream around, and Simone just came and killed it. So that's been nice, having a couple of new, fresh faces around, having the girls involved. So it's been all about this record, and we're all about just getting ready to play just a handful of shows. September, we've got a couple of warm-up shows, then we're in London, and then we've got a big gig up here with the Cortinas.
Yeah.
And then it's all really about kicking it off with the album at the start of next year.
It's going to be huge, man. Spirit, Power and Soul, it's our Liked and Shared. It's the first new music from the forthcoming double album, Fever Dreams. And the first bit, EP, is going to be out on the 15th of October. Silver limited edition 12-inch vinyl. I'll have myself some of that. And next year, you apart from anything else, you're going to be doing a massive headline tour with the Killers.
Yeah, the Killers invited me out for quite a long time. It's a lot of dates, so I'm really looking forward to that. It's always an interesting experience. You always come off those dates having learned something. When I remember I went out with Pearl Jam in the early 2000s, and then I've been out. Well, went out with the Pretenders. Went out with U2 on that Rattle and Hum tour, and it's always it's kind of a thing you remember. You know, it's an experience.
Well,
and the Killers just really rock those places. You know, they make those stadiums like a nightclub.
They
just are that good. And you know, I got to know Brandon a little bit. You know, and I played with him at Glastonbury, so it all feels good. It just feels like, you know, going out with friends, really.
It's brilliant. It was so great to see you at Glastonbury, absolutely smashing it with them. And I always think that with you, it's a bit like, I mean, I fear sometimes for younger bands who go out supporting big bands, because it's like, oh, well, I've never heard of these people, I'm going to go and get a couple of beers. But if it's like, oh, Johnny Marr's on before the Killers, everybody's going to rush to the front, I would have thought.
Well, I hope so. I'm not banking on that. But
you always work for it, Johnny. You always work for it, and you get it.
You know, hey, I've got no problem with being a professional. I think there's something. I don't know. There's a nobility in that. I like being just happy to have a profession, particularly as one as a guitar player. So it's all good, Shaun.
It's beautiful, and I love what you say about, you know, you're right, because it's with something creative like what you do, some of it's craft, some of it's inspiration, or what they say, 99% perspiration, 1% inspiration, but it all comes together, and it's just sounding better than ever. And
thanks, Shaun. Well, much like yourself, my friend. You know, hey, listen, while I've got you, you know, I've got one family heirloom that I made sure that I got when I left home at 16, 17, or whatever, and I've managed to keep it through all the years. And it's the radio that my mother used to stand me. She used to stand me on the chair when she was doing the chores in the house and taking care of stuff, and she would just put me on this chair, and I'd just stand staring into this radio. This was in the late 60s and throughout the 70s. And then it accompanied me, you know, I'd have it on before I went out to school and all that. So, and it's where I got a lot of my sort of knowledge from, really, my passion for music. And so I know radio, daytime radio, to probably a freakish degree. And I would like to say that the job you've done has been really, really exemplary, I think is the word. And amongst all that 50-odd years of listening to BBC Radio, you've done a really great job, and you're with some, you know, important people, and you've really held your own and done a unique voice, and done a fantastic job, and you will be very much missed. And in terms of doing what you do, I think irreplaceable. So thanks, as a British music fan, thank you very much for all the fun and the love of music and the information that you've put out there over the airwaves. I think you've done a very important job, and you've done it really well.
Oh, well, I don't know what else to say about that. That's such a lovely thing to say. I have been occasionally indulgent, and I'm sort of unapologetic about it, but that was a really lovely thing to hear, Johnny. Thank you so much. And what is also a lovely thing to hear is you singing and playing, and this is our Light and Share track, our last one. It is Spirit, Power and Soul from Johnny Marr. We'll be seeing you down the front, clasping some kind of plastic receptacle with liquid in it in the near future. Johnny Marr, my brother, thank you very much.
Lots of love, Shaun.